It's time to shake things up again.
Lucha, 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 lucha.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host with the most, Nate the effing great, here of course to bring you with another edition of the Squared Circle Podcast. As always, you can find us on Spreaker.com, iTunes, Player.fm, PodDirectory.com, Stitcher.com, TuneIn Radio, IW Nerd, as well as Satchel Podcast Player for the smart and Android phone, as well as Mr. NTG 1990 on the one, the only, everybody loves it, YouTube. And of course, guys, got to give a good shout out to the sponsors, ProWrestlingCrate.com. One-of-a-kind memorabilia at affordable prices. You cannot get it anywhere else. And also AJsBelts.com, where, guys, we are getting down to the breaking point where it is getting closer and closer to that day when they finally ship out all the new championship belts that they have. Guys, go message them, AJsBelts at yahoo.com. Mention to them that the Squared Circle Podcast referred to you, and you will get an exclusive offer on a championship belt, either the Cruiserweight Championship or the Universal Championship. There's only so much time left, you guys. You gotta act now. Act now. Alright, so let's get right into it, you guys. Usually I start off the show by saying what we're going to be talking about, but this is only going to be purely based on Lucha Underground. Tomorrow night will be the SCP Year-End Awards, with myself, Max Beatty, as well as Spencer Hart. And we will also be talking about Raw and SmackDown. TLC has been discussed already, so hopefully one of our co-hosts does not drag that along, because we've already went into discussion about that. Alright, so talking about Lucha Underground, actually I got about 2 weeks of Lucha Underground to touch base on, so let's just get right into it. Talking about last week's Lucha Underground, which is very different, because it was a gauntlet match in which Pentagon Dark had to face the Black Lotus tribe. Black Lotus, along with her 3 triad assassins, coming in to try and take out Mr. Pentagon Dark. And honestly, you guys, this was a full hour's worth, which tells you one thing. That Pentagon Dark, holy cow, he is a beast. He is able to go a full hour of wrestling matches, and he's able to face off against 4 different opponents all at the same time. These were really good matches in and of themselves. Of course, it's basically the Lucha Libre style versus the Japanese style, and this matchup was definitely personified in a major way. It was awesome. I loved every single bit of it. I really wish that I would have had the names. I don't have them on me right now, so I do apologize for some of the misinformation, but they had the first 2 basically put on really good matches and really good fights, but unfortunately Pentagon Dark would go on to not only slay them, but he would also do his maneuver where he breaks the arm of the 2 assassins trying to take him out. The third one, however, I think if I remember, I think it was Hiroko Ishima, I think was her name. It doesn't sound right. The third one, oh my gosh, she just put it all on the line just to take out Pentagon Dark. Pentagon tried so hard to combat against them, but this third assassin was just a beast. She just dominated at the end. She even did a high-flying crossbody off a part of the stage to Pentagon Dark, and then she hit the flip pile driver on Pentagon Dark for the 1-2-3, and per Dario Cueto, unfortunately, it was not going to end there, because it was going to be a gauntlet match in which he has to go through all 4 members of the triad. And you can guess who the final member was. The one and only Black Lotus. She wanted revenge on Pentagon Dark for breaking her arm earlier in the season, as well as, I think there was a story about Pentagon Dark, I think, assaulting his brother or something like that. I'm not quite sure exactly, but she actually got revenge for the arm by basically breaking Pentagon Dark's arm in the process, and oh my gosh, that just looked brutal. And then, to make matters even worse, El Dragon Azteca came out, and it seemed like he was going to battle up against the Triad, but the Triad just leave. They said, okay, you know what? You got your business. We did our damage. Go ahead. And what did El Dragon Azteca do? He took the other arm, and he breaks it. Pentagon Dark has basically no arms whatsoever, and he is basically helpless. There's nothing that he could do. He's going to be out for quite a while. But the ending of the show last week was very interesting because after the Graver Consequences matchup, they had Vampiro come to the casket and basically rebirth Prince Puma. So Prince Puma is back, and he is probably going to be looking for vengeance on Mil Muertes in a major way. So that's going to be very interesting to see how this kind of builds up. Which goes on to this week's matchups, in which we'll kick off the show with Angelico. He makes his return, and he goes to Dario, and he says that he wants Johnny Mundo. And it doesn't matter if it's for the title, doesn't matter if it's for anything. He just wants Johnny Mundo for costing him so many months of action. And Dario says, here's the thing. I wish I could help you, but unfortunately my hands are tied. I can't do that much of anything right now. And unfortunately, Johnny Mundo's lawyers are up my ass, and they're just going to deny that. And basically, Angelico grabs Dario and says, basically, you either give me Johnny Mundo, or you're going to have to feel what it's like to have, I think he said the fallen angel through the table. I think his finisher through the table was basically what he was saying. He says, okay. Dario says, okay, calm down. Look, I will give you Johnny Mundo, but there is a condition. And that condition was that he was going to be fighting in a massive tournament called the Running of the Bulls. And what this basically is there's 4 fatal 4-way matches in which you qualify, and the 4 participants that win those matches go on to another fatal 4-way with elimination styles, and the winner of that fatal 4-way matchup becomes the number 1 contender for the Lucha Underground Championship. That is an honest-to-God great concept. I loved every single bit about it. It was great, and they had 2 matches last night on Lucha Underground. The first one featured Cage versus Tejano versus Joey Ryan. Yes, the greatest wrestler that ever lived, as I roll my eyes. And Dr. Wagner Jr. Great matchup. You see a classic Tower of Doom spot. We see a lot of great wrestling from Tejano and Cage, which their best of 5 series, I guess, is going to be put on hold for the time being until this whole Running of the Bulls tournament is figured out. And the reason why that is because Cage comes out victorious. So Cage is going to be the first of 4 participants in the Running the Bulls tournament finals. We'll find out who the second one is later on in the night. But we also get another matchup in which we see PJ Black versus Sexy Star. And there's some major added implications in this matchup. If Sexy Star was to win, then she would get her rematch against Johnny Mundo for the Lucha Underground Championship, and it would be contested inside of a steel cage. However, if PJ Black wins, then he would ensure that Sexy Star would never get another opportunity at the Lucha Underground Championship again. Sexy Star, confident as always, says, you know what? Totally fine. Because she wants to beat Johnny Mundo, and she wants to basically take what was rightfully hers, and that being the Lucha Underground Championship. Pretty decent matchup between the two of them. They really heavily mentioned that Sexy Star has never pinned PJ Black, so they definitely really tried to put a lot of emphasis on this matchup, which, all in all, that's great. I think that everything they're doing to really build up the rivalry between Johnny Mundo and Sexy Star is great, and I think that when Angelico gets his hands on Johnny Mundo, it's going to be that much better. Now, the matchup ends with Jack Evans getting involved little miscommunication by PJ Black and Jack Evans. Sexy Star does a roll-up for the 1, 2, 3. Sexy Star gets her rematch against Johnny Mundo for the title inside of a steel cage. And if you guys have not seen Sexy Star versus Mariposa in that I Quit match, you guys don't know the brink that Sexy Star will go to ensure that she wins. I expect that this matchup between her and Johnny Mundo is going to be intense. It is going to be brutal. It is going to be bloody. It is going to be a massacre. Guarantee it. It is going to be a fight worth watching. The second Running of the Bulls matchup happened that night, in which featured Mil Muertes versus the Mac versus El Dragon Azteca versus oh my gosh, how could I forget who Marty the Moth, that's right, sorry Marty. And another great matchup, but it also really kind of makes things very interesting, because before the matchup even started, they had a promo with Dario and Matanza. Matanza wants Rey Mysterio in the worst way. And I'm not talking about, just like a little slap around, blah, 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 that kind of deal. No. It basically seems like he wants to destroy Rey Mysterio. He wants to tear his head off, tear him limb from limb, just tear him apart like an action figure, and just throw him into the trash, just bloody batter him. And you can guarantee, I think that they are going to be building up a major matchup between Rey Mysterio and Matanza for the next Ultima Lucha 3, which is definitely going to be coming up, I think, in the near future. So be on the lookout for that. If not, they might do that matchup sooner. We'll have to wait and see. The reason why I bring that up is during the matchup, they really emphasized that Matanza was on a mission. He came out and he battered everybody that was in that matchup. He battered up Matanza. He battered up Dragon Azteca. He just was on a rampage, just destroying everything that was in his path. And it seemed like Marty the Moth was going to get the win, but nope. Broken up with the pin, and we see the Mac actually hit a stunner on Marty the Moth, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3, and becoming the second participant in the Running of the Bulls championship matchup. Number one contendership matchup. Thank you. For the Running of the Bulls finals. Love what they're doing with Lucha Underground. I think that they're doing another great job of making sure that everybody earns their spot. Again, them doing these kind of tournaments, making it very revolutionary, definitely piques my interest. They're doing so much more to really keep the audience involved. Now, the prediction that I have is that I think that whether it comes down to it, I think that they're going to have I think it's either going to come down to Angelico or Prince Puma that gets the title opportunity. The reason why I say Prince Puma is because I do believe that they actually have him. I think his contract is coming up pretty soon. So they might actually be offering him one more title shot. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with that. Otherwise, if they go with Johnny Mundo versus Angelico, I will not be displeased at that. I think that's going to be a great matchup between the two of them. And with the world title on the line, it's going to be flat out amazing. So, unfortunately, that is all that it's going to be for this edition of, I guess you could call it Lucha Thursdays, since I didn't get a chance to do it last night. But all in all, you guys, Lucha Underground is definitely, again, trying their hardest and succeeding at piquing my interest, as well as keeping the fans entertained and keeping them on their feet. Great stuff. Looking forward to seeing what happens next week. You can guarantee that it's going to be more of the Running of the Bulls matchups, as well as some fallout, possibly with Matanza and Rey Mysterio. And hey, now that we don't have the Gift of the Gods Championship here, they gotta probably start working on that now. They're probably going to build up to having a new, Gift of the Gods champion coming up pretty quick here. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. So, that is going to wrap it up for this edition. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, you guys, for another edition of